Well, joining us tonight is Mr. John Maina, the President of Kenya Community Abroad, representing Kenyans living in the diaspora. We're going to have an interactive interview about the issue of having a Kenyan representative member of parliament for the Kenyans living in the diaspora. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me here.
All right. And first things first, tell me, who is Mr. John Maina? Who do you represent? What does he do?
My name is John Maina, as you mentioned, and I represent KCA, our organization, called Kenya Community Abroad. And we have members scattered all over the globe. I'm based in the United States of America. But any Kenyan who is outside of the boundaries of Kenya is a potential member of Kenya Community Abroad. Right. So we have quite a number of members out there, and we interact with them online, and we also have branches in several places in the world. Okay,
how many Kenyans do you have in the diaspora?
Well, at the moment, the last estimate, it was estimated that we have 2.8 million Kenyans abroad. And I can assure you that we are growing in numbers because we also have families abroad, and as the population grows here in Kenya, our population is also growing over there.
Now, why do you think that the 2.8 Kenyans in diaspora need a representative who is a member of parliament?
Well, first of all, not only the Kenyans abroad, but all Kenyans need representation. That's their constitutional right, whether you're in America, India, or in Kenya. As a Kenyan, you're constitutionally guaranteed to be represented. We as Kenyan nationals, we owe our government that responsibility to participate in our democracy. And through representation, that is the best avenue for us to be accountable to for nation building, and to be accounted as citizens who participate in their democracy.
Okay. And bearing the fact that the diaspora is quite vast, how will such a representative harmonize how to cater for the needs of these Kenyans living in the diaspora?
Well, we are not trying to recreate the wheel. It's been done in other countries. For example, UK has 11 members of parliament who represent their diaspora. India has 7 members of parliament who represent their diaspora. Even countries like Ghana and South Africa, they have members of parliament who represent their diaspora. For example, Nigeria has quite a big population of Nigerians in the diaspora. And for them to account for all of them, they decided to have representation in parliament. We in Kenya, we don't have representation for our diaspora. And as we indicated, we are now 2.8 million and growing. You can't leave 2.8 million people lose without representation. Somehow, you have to account for them. And the only way you can account for them is to represent them, to have somebody representing them in parliament.
And now let's get realistic. How will an MP for Kenyans in the diaspora conduct his campaign given the vastness of the areas of his concern?
Well, let me give you a prototype model of that answer. We in KCA, we have elections every 2 years. And as I indicated, our members are scattered all over the world. So we have 1 week campaign period before our election. We have elections every 2 years. 2 days, 1 week before the campaign, before the elections, we do campaigning. Like now, I was elected almost 2 weeks ago as the president, and I had to do some campaigning, online campaign, electronically. That's how we reach other members. That's how we interact as members. So I was elected in the last elections to take over from a president who used to live in Australia. The previous president used to live in Australia, and the one before that used to live in Canada. So as you can see, we're very democratic and very transparent in terms of how we conduct our elections. Anybody can be elected, whether you're in Uganda, whether you are in Zanzibar, Cuba, US, as long as you present your views and other members believe you're the best representative for the diaspora, they will elect you. So we do it online, electronically, through chat or through forums. And then we also vote electronically. And so it's when a member is elected, like now I'm the president, I interact with Kenyans from all over the world in the diaspora. And so the world is becoming smaller and smaller. So and the other model is our own Minister for Foreign Affairs. He represents all the embassies and Kenyan missions all over the world. But he's based in Nairobi.
Okay. I know that you're talking about that Kenyans in diaspora resides in countries with even better governance than our country. So why should we have the same people have other people's taking their time to better their lives, which are already good?
Well, first of all, let's understand where we are coming from. We are not looking at this issue of representation as something will benefit we Kenyans abroad more than our country. I think the beneficiary of this arrangement is our own country, our motherland. Remember, our organization is not a non-profit organization. So our interests are our motherland. So everything we do to facilitate the progress of our country. We want to be part of nation building, even if we are miles away. That's all we are saying. We are saying, include us. We want to be part of nation building. And the inclusion will come through representation. Because now, without that connection, our member of parliament will be the middleman or middlewoman, if you want to say that. The connector between Kenyans abroad and our country. Because right now we don't have representation. Our government doesn't even know how many we are. Our government cannot account for where Mr. John Maina lives. So a member of parliament for the diaspora will facilitate that connection so that not only we are accountable, but also in terms of economics. At the moment, you have to remember at the moment, we are remitting a lot of money to our motherland, Kenya, which is equivalent to almost 10% of the GDP of Kenya. We are sending it to this country. That's no little money. Right. And with that kind of money...
Allow me to interrupt here, because we'll get that later on. Now, given the bureaucracy of the electoral system, how feasible is the Kenyan electoral body will be in a position to establish polling centers in diaspora to make sure that elections are of a democratic system?
Well, as I said earlier, it's been done in other countries. Even in the last election, Iraq, beaten up Iraq, run down Iraq, was able to vote from their diaspora. They participated in their elections abroad. And they didn't have infrastructure. As you know, Iraq was bombed to the ground. But they still participated in their last election from abroad. Why can't we do it? We have better infrastructure than Iraq. So we can be able to do it. And besides that, we are willing to meet with IIEC, Interim Independent Election Commission, so that we can work on a modality of conducting registration for Kenyans abroad, and then voting process for Kenyans abroad. As I indicated earlier, we KCA members, we have that system already. We've been voting forever electronically. So we can share